1 in 3 Americans doesn't have an emergency fund. The median amount people have saved for emergencies is $500. That's less than most people's monthly car payment. And yet those same people are asking whether they should buy crypto or pick individual stocks. It's like asking whether you should upgrade to a Ferrari when you don't even have enough money to fix the transmission in your current car. The truth is, there's an optimal order for putting your money to work, and getting it wrong can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Most people skip straight to the exciting stuff and completely ignore the foundation that actually makes wealth possible. Today we're fixing that, step by step. Think of it like building a house. You wouldn't start picking out countertops and light fixtures if your foundation was cracked and your roof was leaking. But that's exactly what most people do. With their money, they get excited about investing while high-interest debt quietly eats them alive in the background. Getting the sequence right changes everything. So here it is. Step 1. The cushion fund. Before you invest a single dollar, anywhere you need a safety net. Studies show that over half of Americans can't cover an unexpected $1,000 expense without going into debt. That's the problem this step solves. Your cushion fund is cash set aside, specifically for financial emergencies, car repairs, medical bills, a sudden job loss. The goal isn't to have 6 months saved right away. Start with 1 month of living expenses and put it somewhere. It can actually earn something. High-yield savings accounts currently offer around 4% APY, compared to the national average of under 1% at traditional banks. That's a meaningful difference on money you're going to park and forget. Here's what most people miss about this step. It's not just about the money. Research from Vanguard found that people with at least $2,000 in emergency savings had financial well-being scores 21% higher than those without any buffer. That psychological safety net stops you from making terrible decisions when life inevitably goes sideways, like panic selling investments at a loss or racking up credit card debt to cover something that should have been handled with cash. Build the cushion first. Everything else comes after. Step 2. Match the match. Once your cushion is in place, the next move surprises a lot of people because it comes before paying off debt. If your employer offers a 401k match, you contribute exactly enough to get every dollar of that match. Nothing more, nothing less. Right now, employer matching is a guaranteed 100% return on your money up front. Even if you're carrying debt at 20% interest, a 100% immediate return wins that math every time. A typical example, your employer matches 100% on the first 3% you contribute and 50% on the next 2%. If you earn $65,000 and contribute 5%, that's $3,250 from you. Your employer immediately adds $2,600, no questions asked. That's $5,850 working for you before the market does anything. This is free money with an expiration date. You can't claim it retroactively. Contribute enough to capture the full match, then move on. Step 3. Eliminate high interest debt. Now it's time to deal with the debt, specifically the high interest kind. Anything above 7 or 8% annually qualifies, and credit cards are the obvious starting point. Average credit card interest rates are sitting above 22% right now. What that actually means in practice is, if you have $10,000 in credit card debt and you choose to invest that money in the stock market instead, which historically returns around 7% annually, you'd earn roughly $700 in gains, while your credit card balance grows by $2,000 in interest. You're not getting ahead, you're falling behind by $1,300. Paying off high interest debt isn't just responsible, it's one of the highest guaranteed returns available to you. No investment can promise 22% returns. Eliminating that debt effectively earns you exactly that. The most efficient method: list every debt ranked from highest interest rate to lowest. Pay minimums on everything, then throw every extra dollar at the top of the list. When it's gone, move down. This is called the debt avalanche, and mathematically, it saves you the most money. Step 4. The triple tax break. With high interest debt gone, you're now in a position to do something most people never take advantage of: the HSA, or health savings account. The name makes it sound limited, but think of it as an investment vehicle with 3 tax advantages stacked on top of each other. Your contributions go in pre-tax, everything inside the account dividends. gains grows completely tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses come out tax-free too. No other account does all three. You can contribute up to $4,300 individually, or $8,550 for a family. If you max this out and invest it consistently over 30 years at a 7% return, you're looking at over $400,000 in tax-free money, specifically for one of retirement's biggest expenses, since the average person will spend over $300,000 on healthcare alone after they stop working. The catch is you need a high deductible health plan to qualify. If that's not your situation, skip to the next step. But if you're eligible and relatively healthy, this is one of the most powerful accounts available to you. Step 5. The Roth IRA. Next comes the Roth IRA. And the reason it sits here before maxing out your 401k is control. Your employer's 401k is limited to whatever fund options your company chose. Roth IRA lets you invest in anything low-cost index funds, ETFs, individual stocks, and the fee differences matter more than most people realize. A 1% management fee versus a 0.05% index fund expense ratio sounds small until you run the numbers over 30 years. That gap can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. You can contribute up to $7,000 annually if you're under 50. The money goes in after tax, but it grows completely tax-free and comes out tax-free in retirement. If you're younger and expect your income to grow significantly, you're essentially locking in today's lower tax rate on decades of future gains. Once the Roth IRA is maxed, go back and max out the rest of your 401k. Step 6. Taxable brokerage. After you've worked through all the tax-advantaged accounts, then and only then does it make sense to open a regular brokerage account. Taxable accounts don't have contribution limits, and you can access the money whenever you want, which makes them useful for goals that aren't retirement-specific: a house, down payment, early retirement, before you can touch your 401k penalty-free, or simply keeping excess savings growing. The trade-off is tax drag. Dividends get taxed, gains get taxed when you sell. Over 30 years, the difference between a tax-advantaged account and a taxable one on the same $10,000 annual investment at 7% can be close to $250,000. Use taxable accounts for flexibility and overflow, not as a starting point. As for what to actually invest in across all these accounts, the simplest, most proven strategy is passive index funds, tracking the S&P 500 combined with dollar cost averaging. Invest a fixed amount on a fixed schedule regardless of what the market is doing. You'll buy more shares when prices are low and fewer when they're high, which smooths out your average cost over time and removes the emotion from the equation. So to recap the optimal order: cushion fund, employer match, high interest debt, HSA, Roth IRA, max out the 401k, then taxable accounts. Most people never get past step 2 because it doesn't feel exciting enough. But that's exactly the point. Building real wealth is mostly boring decisions made consistently over a long time. The sequence is the strategy. Follow it and you'll quietly end up ahead of almost everyone around you. If this helped, share it with someone who's trying to figure out where to start, because most people are getting this order completely backwards.